What's going on, everybody? Cheers. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the With Her Two Hands podcast, where each week we celebrate the women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go round with her own two hands. I am your host, Bogi, and this is your weekly live stream where we celebrate the women out there who are by far a minority in the trades, out there kicking butt every day in trades where they are overwhelmingly the outsiders and very rarely get their stories celebrated and a light shown on them. And yet our numbers are growing. Women are doing incredible jobs as technicians, as construction workers, as plumbers, as you name it, any trade that you can imagine, women are kicking butt in, but we don't hear about them often enough. And this show is all about changing that story. You guys are all a part of us normalizing seeing women in this kind of work, because that's the goal, right? For one day, for this to not be a necessary podcast where women in the trades are just like anybody else in the trades. We're just folks who happen to be women who work in the trades, right? So thank you guys for being a part of that journey. Huge thank you to our sponsor, Drive Time, for sponsoring this episode and making this show possible, and for all of the things that they do behind the scenes to promote women in the trades and to help get more folks in general, but particularly women, into the industry by creating job opportunities and training opportunities. They are all over the country. So if you're interested in a new car or you're looking for a new career, Drive Time is your answer. So go check them out. I'll have the link down in the description below. But that's not what you're here for today, is it? You guys are here to meet the incredible, the one and the only Ariel Huff. Now, she is a woman who I've been following for a very long time, actually, on social media. She may not know that. You may know her as Peroxide Blonde if you are on Instagram and follow along with female mechanics and that sort of stuff. But she is a female mechanic. She's a DIYer. She's also a custom car enthusiast. She's done some really cool stuff in her life, but she's definitely faced some challenges. And so I'm really excited to chat with her and kind of get some inspiration from her, how she's kept going and persevering despite all of her challenges. She is also a new mom, which is a huge challenge, but also wonderfulness all in and of itself. So we're going to be chatting about that as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. And without further ado, let's bring on Miss Ariel Huff. Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
I am tired. How are you?
I can't imagine why. Working a job and having a 7-month-old and all of the
He's
things.
9 months now.
Oh, 9 months. Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's getting big.
That's still like, that's, your hands are full, for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Now, this is your first child, right?
Yes.
Right. How's it going being a new mom?
It was a huge different, like I can't just wake up and be like, oh, it's my day off, I'd like to go work on my car. There, and he was born in May, so it was the middle of summer, and it was like I can't put a newborn outside and just even rock him while I'm working on my car or anything. So that was like honestly a huge thing for me mentally, just to kind of give up on my projects, and then thinking about everybody else who's like, oh yeah, well, I had kids, so I had to give up on my projects, and I'm trying not to be that person.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I gotta say, there's a post that you did where it's a picture of you with your son in a stroller while you're working on a car. And I was like, that is so awesome.
Yeah, he finally got big enough and it got cold enough outside in Texas, or cool enough outside where I could do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you're getting back to it a little bit now.
A little, and now I got a new job last week, or yeah, pretty much last week, February 21st. So he's been in daycare.
Very exciting.
My company's working with me really well, and I was like, I can't work the normal technician hours. I just can't. So yeah. My manager, lets me come in late and get off early so I can take him to daycare. But definitely,
amazing.
That's the thing that like women need to be aware of, which sucks.
Yeah, that's amazing that your employer is being that flexible. Is it a larger employer? Is it a smaller shop?
It's a franchise, but it's independently owned franchise.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm always kind of curious, like which shops are more likely to be that flexible and understanding, and like honestly, it's not just women who need that, right? Like I think that's one of the reasons why nobody wants to be a technician these days is like
it's so many hours.
So many hours, and they're rigid hours, right? There's really
Yeah,
no
like,
reason
oh,
why.
I just started a job right now, and now I can't leave, even though the shop is closed and no one should be coming in.
Right.
So it's but they've been really nice working with me about the hours, and I
Good.
try not to take jobs too late in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I feel like I'm hearing about more shops that are starting to do that and say, like, you can come in early or you can stay late, or just like as long as you get the jobs done, we don't really care what hours you're working. And I feel like that's a long overdue change. So that's really cool to see. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time though a little
Okay.
bit, because I want to talk about how you found your way to being an auto mechanic.
Much like you, it started with a VW.
Yes, Volkswagen Bugs for the win.
My friend had a 72 Super Beetle that he kind of like rat rotted out,
Okay.
and I was about to graduate high school at the time, and he's like, "Well, I got to pull my engine," and I was like, "Okay, well, I'll help." And then literally, I got a scholarship, and they were like, "Well, you need to pick a college so we know where to send the money," and I was like, "Okay, I'll work on cars," and
It was that sudden. Like,
yeah,
what was
yeah,
so the scholarship was for anything? Like you could do anything with your
anything,
scholarship?
anything.
That's nice.
But oh, well, I guess in retrospect, I had kind of already had the idea because I had to make this like little uh um when you were in like fourth grade and they made you make a mission. No, never mind. You're not from California. Sorry.
No,
They made
but
you
tell
make,
us, explain.
oh, I had to make like a figurine of what I
Okay.
wanted to do with my business if I got that scholarship.
Oh,
So I made a um, a house and a shop, and it was Lucky Ladies Auto Shop. And I made a whole figurine like out of popsicle sticks and like stucco and like fake little cars, and presented it. And I said, I want to open an auto shop that has like a beauty parlor attached. So when women are waiting, they can just go get their nails and hair done, which has
right.
been now since done. But
Yeah.
that was 15 years ago,
And you
18
were
years
how
ago.
old?
I was 16.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah. And then
Where did the idea of a car garage though come from? Did you have like a connection to cars at the time, or like what?
no.
It was
Mm-mm.
just a random thought that you thought would be a cool business idea.
I really liked the rockabilly car scene. I
Okay.
was always going to car shows, like old cars. And hey, hey.
For anyone watching PSA, we've got a little baby in the background, which is awesome. We are A-okay. I'm super glad you're taking the time to do this and be away from your baby. So thank you. But
Sorry.
you might hear some baby cries every once in a while. It's all good though.
And then I just, I helped the friend pull the engine, and it was kind of like a rockabilly rat rotted bug. And I was just like, this is what I want to do.
You were just
But
hooked
then,
right away.
yeah, just it was so. I grew up like pretty not rich at all, and the one thing that stressed my mom out most was when the car would break. And so, like at a young age, I remember sitting in we had a Honda Civic, and when we turned, the CV axle would just make this horrible noise.
Uh-huh.
And my mom would just get so stressed out because that was our only livelihood.
Right.
And I just remember sitting in the back seat going, I want my mom to not stress about her car breaking down. And so I was like, I'm going to be there to fix her car. So I guess it did start at a young age, but I never had like a dad or anybody in my life to like, hey, come out here and hold a flashlight.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, no, me neither for sure. I came more out of the like wanting to be self-reliant, which it sounds like it is what it was for you. And I feel like that's a theme amongst women, particularly auto mechanics, where it's like I saw my mom struggle, or I saw, right, I struggled when I brought my car in the shop, or whatever it is this
Yeah.
like this thing that drives us to say, I don't want to feel that way.
It's kind of
And I
like
don't want the people I love to feel
revenge.
that way. Yeah.
like in a secret way. It's because I always want to go into an auto shop and pretend I don't know anything, but I think the tattoos kind of give it away now. But
That's awesome. I love it. So how did your family react when you decided to use the scholarship to go do automotive? Did it come as a surprise to them, or were they like, yep, that makes sense?
it made sense to my mom, who
Okay.
raised, yeah, because I was always the kid that was like, hey, can I take apart the VCR? Can I take apart this clock? Can
Okay.
I do that? But everybody else kind of like didn't accept it for a long time until I became an auto shop teacher. They didn't respect my career choice.
Interesting. Wait, so you were teaching at some point in auto shop?
Yeah, I went into labor 4 days before school got out,
Oh,
and
geez.
yeah, and I didn't go back. So, but I was
Okay.
teaching for 5 years. I had wanted to be a teacher my entire life, and as I grew older, I realized like, oh, I want to teach algebra. Oh, I want to teach history. And then I got into cars, and I said, no, I want to teach auto shop.
Gotcha.
And so
Okay.
I got the opportunity to do that, and it was amazing. I loved it. But yeah, I went into labor 4 days before, and I couldn't bear the thought of going back to work and putting my child in childcare. So
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. And so you're not your mom, but other folks in your life, you felt like they didn't accept it till you became a teacher.
yeah, because
That's interesting.
I lived in San Diego and I moved to Texas, and
Okay.
my uncle here, he owned a transmission shop,
Okay.
and they would just like kind of like bypass me with any auto concerns and go to him, or anybody that was a male. And I'm like, or they'd be like, oh well, your uncle's a mechanic, and I'm like,
You're like, I'm sitting right here.
hey, me too, hashtag me too.
Interesting. All right. I wonder if somehow like the teaching like legitimized it, or like was it about like, oh, you must know what you're talking about, that's why you're teaching, or was
I
it more
think it
like
was,
teaching is more respected?
can you guys go in the other room? I think it was more of the fact that it was a salaried career,
Interesting.
and like, I don't know. I really couldn't say, but it came as a shock to me because
Yeah.
honestly, my family came into town like from out of state, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna go to dinner. Where do you want to go?" And I was like, "Oh, let's go get some burgers." And then we got there, and they like handed me presents, like fancy shirts and notepads, and
Interesting.
I was like, "Wait, this is a celebration of my new career that I've had for the past 9 years, and I didn't get any new certifications or do anything different. I just got a different job, and now you're handing me presents."
Interesting.
It was weird to me. It was a little shocker.
Yeah, that's very interesting. It was almost like it like legitimized it in some way,
Yeah,
and like
they're like, "Oh yeah, she must really like cars.
I guess this is sticking, huh?
Let's support it."
And you were doing it for 9 years prior to that?
Uh, yeah, pretty much.
Just
Yeah.
about? Okay, nice. I mean, that's not a small amount of time. It's not like you were just like
I mean, it was my first real job. Everybody gets their fast food job first, but it was my first real job, working on cars, and
that's
I
awesome.
I can't leave it. I don't want to leave it.
Yeah. So you got the scholarship, you went to school. Was it like a college that had an automotive program, or was it an automotive school that you wound up going to?
It was a college that had an automotive program,
Okay.
and I had really great teachers, and I really fell in love with machining. I rebuilt my entire engine there. They had all these old cool Sun machines, from the 1930s, 1940s. I rebuilt my entire engine there. I rebuilt a transmission. Um, I just had really great instructors, a really great supportive family there. So
That's
it was good.
awesome. Was it a large program or smaller program?
It was pretty small. I was
Okay.
one of 2 females at most. Yeah. The welding program was huge there, but yeah, it was a Palomar Community College in San Marcos, California.
Okay.
And now it's probably grown a lot because they built a whole new shop and everything. But of course,
wow.
every time you leave and graduate college, they build a whole new shop.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. They built like the like most amazing campus of UTI ever, like the year after I graduated. I'm like, really? Really? Come on. How were your classmates? The all male classmates, aside from one other girl, right?
Really good. I mean,
Yeah,
I still have 2 of them that are like I consider best friends at this
that's
point.
awesome.
Yeah. And
Very
then
cool.
one of the welding instructor I actually still keep in contact with. Unfortunately, my automotive like the actual transmission automotive instructor, he died.
Oh wow.
But when I became a teacher, I contacted the other automotive instructor and told him, and he was like, "Wow, I'm so proud of you." So
Yay.
it was really
I
good.
love it. So I've got to ask you, you kind of had a vague kind of interest in cars for various reasons when you were young. You had this vision. You get this opportunity to pull a Volkswagen Bug engine. You suddenly decide, all right, I'm doing this. It's your first job as an adult, out of school, like real job. Was there ever a point where you questioned, is this the right path? Or like, did you know right from the get-go, once you got into it, like, this is it, I'm in love, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
It was both.
Okay.
It was, I know that I want to do this, but when I worked in San Diego, they literally wouldn't trust me. It took years of working at one place for them to trust me. So that was a little disheartening. I think it kind of ruined my self-esteem a little bit. And I still have those issues today, which, like, at the shop I'm at today, the head, a master tech, he's like, you have way more knowledge than you're letting on, and you just need to get that confidence out and do it. Like, I was cleaning out, I just had brought all my tools and I was gonna like build my toolbox there. And he's like, what are you doing with those head gaskets? And I'm like, oh, they're just left over from when I rebuilt my engine. And he's like, and you're afraid to do struts? And I'm like, like, it's a different, like, I like the meticulous work of machining and taking my time and rebuilding an engine, but like the stress of having someone get in that car and drive away scares me. So yes, it's both a lifelong passion that I know I don't want to give up, but it's also a terrifying thing for me every day.
Interesting. I don't think you're alone in that. If I'm being honest, I think a lot of other people in general, but women in particular, struggle with all of those things. I think part of it, like, there's a little bit of healthy fear there too, right? Like the fear of like somebody driving down the
always
road.
have to have that healthy fear.
Yeah, like we want that. If you're a technician and you're not a little afraid about like sending a family off in a
you're gonna
car,
mess something up.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I also
So that's
feel like men go into any circumstance with like the utmost confidence, like even like job interview, they're like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I got that. And then women, we're like humble. We're like, I've never done one, but I can try.
right. Yeah, you're not wrong. And in reality, both of those people, the guy and the girl, have the same level of experience. The guy is just going to say, he's going to
That he can
overstate
do
his
more.
experience.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not always, right? There are men who are exception and there are women who are the exception. But I think generally women are like, we're not taught to brag on ourselves and be like, oh, I know all of these things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
I think you're also not alone in that experience of like having the confidence kind of, I don't want to say beaten out of you, but like kind of, stolen out from under your feet. You may have gone in really confident, but then that experience of being questioned at every turn and not being trusted is a hard one to explain, but it erodes your self-confidence. It's hard for it not to.
And then every time that you mess up, it's not because, the shop exploded on the left side of you, it's because you're a female.
Right. Right. Yeah. Especially if you're with that type of coworkers, right? Obviously, not all coworkers are gonna be like that. Not all men are like that. We've got a lot of great male allies, guys. We're not hating on men here.
We're not hating on you. I've met a lot of
No.
great males, but
Yeah.
there's definitely been some ones that were just not what they seemed.
Yeah. So how did you keep going in that shop, that first shop that you were at that took a year for them to start treating you decently? How did you handle that every day and kind of keep
Well, to
going
be
back
honest,
to it?
I was too naive to realize that they weren't letting me do more because they didn't trust me. It took me, honestly, up until last year to realize that men wouldn't hire a female because of the liability of sexual harassment. I was literally talking to an ex-coworker who was managing a new shop, and he was like, I was like, well, hell, give me a job. And he's like, oh yeah, I don't see you as a liability at all. And I was like, what? Why is that an appropriate thing to say at all?
Interesting.
Yeah, it really, it got me.
And I've heard that more than once, and that's the really sad part. I've heard from shop owners that that's one of the main reasons why they don't hire women is they're afraid of a lawsuit, or they're afraid of how their men in the shop
Oh,
will
yeah,
act. And I'm like, you've got the wrong men if you're worried
yeah.
about that.
I went and I took my resume to like 8 body shops when I first moved to the town that I live in. And I literally remember at least 3 or 4 of them saying, I can't hire you. The men wouldn't get anything done.
Mm.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I should have written that down.
Right? Like, have more faith in your men, first of all. And like, there 9 million other career paths in the world where both men and women work together just fine.
Exactly. Doesn't make any sense.
It's
But I mean, it's because their wives or girlfriends don't think there's supposed to be a woman in there. And they're going to be like, oh, there's a female working there? I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of layers to it for sure. You had some legitimate run-ins with sexual harassment and
Yes.
issues with jobs, correct?
Yes.
So, like, I want to be clear to folks who are watching and listening to this is like there is actual sexual harassment that happens often in these industries and in all industries, let's be honest. Like, there's legitimate sexual harassment that happens.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that you should not hire a woman because you're afraid of sexual harassment charges. It means train your team to not sexually harass. Right? So, are you? I know you're not able to talk about, who this was and where this was, and we don't need you to go into that kind of detail. But are you willing to talk about the situation and kind of how you handled it and resolved it?
Well, that's the thing is I'm embarrassed because I didn't resolve it. I mean, I quit, but
that's the resolution.
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to go into like detail?
Whatever you're comfortable sharing that you think might be beneficial. I think a lot of women deal with this. And so if you're willing to talk about it, if you're not willing to talk about it, we can totally move on.
I mean, it's anything, like obviously you're in a shop, you're standing on a stool, you're bent over a hood. So that's one thing. Just like turning around and saying, hey, can you hand me that? And then having everybody in the shop look at you. Or 2, like being physically groped. And I think there is obviously a level of sexual harassment that happens in shops, which happens between male and male.
Totally.
You come up and, shove an air hose up someone's butt, and which is a total, you never seen that happen?
I have not. And let's keep
They never
it that
did
way.
that to me. No, they never did that to me, but they would do it to male,
Like, what is wrong with people?
Yeah, I'm like, that's an extreme OSHA violation. That could kill somebody.
Right.
But yeah, like I think that, as a female, if you want to work in that environment, you have to make, vulgar joke. You don't have to, but like if you make vulgar jokes, it's not going to be a sexual harassment violation, but there's a line. I didn't ask you to physically touch me. I didn't ask you to, like, I'm not asking for anything sexual. I might make a, oh, that's what she said joke, but that is not inviting you to do anything. Right. And I think that I would hope that any female technician, if they're listening to this, just stand your ground right there. Yeah. And not to say this is like a cancel culture or whatever, but if you feel violated, that happened to me 6 years ago. And I haven't got over the fact that I didn't turn around and like punch him in the face. Mm. Oops.
Oh,
sorry. Baby coming in.
Baby coming in. Hi, baby. All right. So y'all who are just listening to this and not watching it, you are missing out on Ariel's very adorable little one. Just a quick hello and he's gone. Just needed a little dose of mom there.
Just bring it to me.
Pause for baby. No, you're fine. Absolutely. Babies come first. 100%. So, I mean, I hope that you're able to find a place where you give yourself a little grace in knowing that you behaved and did the best that you knew how in that moment, and you survived, which is the most important thing, right? Like you survived and you kept going, and
I quit.
And you quit, right? And it's always easy in hindsight to shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like we always come up with the best comeback after we've gotten home for the night, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm one of those thinkers as well. Yeah. I'm like, dang, I should have said that.
100%. So cut yourself some slack. But so you experienced this, and how long did you report it to anybody? Did you? No, you just experienced it and left.
And then I also was talking about it with my current coworkers, like any female that does, because I have a female tech that works with me now.
Okay.
But she had a different sort of harassment. Hers was like a physical, like the manager was trying to hurt her. And so we were having a conversation. I was like, that's understandable that you reported that. But like sexual harassment for a female to report is like blacklisting yourself.
Right.
Like no one's going to want to hire you after that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's definitely the fear for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to like scare anybody away.
Right.
And
it's unfortunate because it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that there are these shops that literally think I won't hire a woman because I'm afraid of a sexual harassment charge. And so we know that. And it's like, well, I don't want to be the one who has brought a sexual harassment charge and then therefore not be able to get hired. And, it shouldn't be the case. But unfortunately, it probably is the case that women who bring sexual harassment charges have a hard time finding a job again in the industry. And like, it's unfortunate. It's a really unfortunate situation.
But then I'm going to say something super controversial, and I'm not trying to like disrespect you or Faye or anybody because I love you guys. Yeah. But I feel, hi Faye. I think she bought me this shirt actually.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
I also feel like I wish that there wasn't that sexism, because I feel like having an all girls something adds to the sexism. Like when
that's fair.
Yeah, when I see girls driving trucks and they have that sticker on the back that's like real girls drive trucks, or you know what I mean? One of those.
Right.
I'm like, or you could just be a person and drive a truck and not call it out. Not that you guys are doing that at all, but like that's like the most obnoxious version of it. But like I just want people to be people. Like And that sounds so Californian of me.
No, not at all. I am with you 100%. No.
Yeah. But I understand also, like, we are put in this situation where we need to give ourselves a safe environment,
right?
A safe and supportive environment to just talk about cars without, like, oh, how did you get into this? Oh, was your dad a mechanic?
Right. And without it being assumed that we're not actually competent, right? Like to be in around people who assume you're capable. Yeah.
I once got quizzed by a man who asked me the resistance across a mechanical fuel pump because I told him I was a technician.
The need to quiz, that's a really interesting thing. Like nobody will do that to a man. Like a man says that he's a mechanic. Nobody says, oh yeah, well, what cam lift came on a 1967 Chevy? Like what? No, you're not asking that of men.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to, like, I agree with you. I think you said it was a controversial statement, and I don't think it's controversial. I think that's a really valid point. And like, that's the goal, right? Unfortunately, we don't live in a society yet. Yes. Hopefully we will eventually, yet where we are allowed to just be people who work on cars who happen to be female, right? Rather than a female who works on cars. But we don't live in that society yet. And so I am that person who's doing all female stuff. And it's not to exclude men, it's to celebrate women.
Exactly.
But I long for the day that that's not necessary. Heck yeah. Like 100%.
Let's just be people.
Right?
I don't understand why men, I mean, I do get, okay, you're probably physically stronger than me, but your brain is not as detail oriented as mine. So.
And you can't fit in the same places I can fit in.
Exactly. I've gotten called over in the shop. I've worked there for literally 5 days, and it's Ariel, come here. You got small hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I always used to joke that I had an excellent male and excellent female technician who used to work with me at my old shop. And I always said it was just as common for me to hear the female technician call for the man to borrow his muscles as it was for me to hear him call for her tiny hands or her flexibility or the fact that she wasn't colorblind like he was, right? Like it's an equal balance. Like we're better together. What a concept.
Yeah. I feel like females are more meticulous and like, I'm going to make sure that this is like clean and good and going back together and torqued properly. And men are like, tight's tight, too tight's broke.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a different mindset entirely. And neither is better or worse. It's just different. And we need both. I mean, that's like at the end of the day, we need both in the world. And so we want to see more women in it because we rock and we don't want to have the barriers to entry that you have had. How do you keep yourself going after that? Like, is it that the love for it is just so much bigger than the frustrations, or?
It's that whenever somebody tells me that I can't do something, you're not going to stop me from doing it. I don't care if I have to set myself on fire to prove you wrong.
Please don't do that. But yes, I resemble that comment. Yeah. Okay. So the more people give you challenges, the more it made you want to keep doing it.
Absolutely. That truck that is in the picture on the promo.
Yeah.
So I drove that from San Diego to Texas when I started building it when I was 17 years old.
Oh wow.
And my cat's on the table now. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh, we get to meet the cat. We get to meet the baby. I love it. This is great.
Sorry.
The whole family.
So I was in college when I was building that truck, and I mean, I literally machined the valve, valve stems. I did everything on it, and I rebuilt it, and I drove it to Texas, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're not even gonna make it through Arizona. All those hills, all the heat, blah blah blah." And I was like, "The hell I won't."
Right? Ye of little faith. Come on now.
I literally spray painted on the back of my truck, Texas or bust, when I drove here.
But you did not bust. You got to Texas.
I did. I had to change some spark plugs in an El Paso parking lot. Yeah, but that's about it.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah.
There's actually a story with this truck. In addition to the fact that you built it, it is no longer in your possession. Is that correct?
Right. So it's got a ton of sentimental value to me, not only because I built it, because I saw it at a car show in El Cajon when I was 17-ish, and it was for sale. And my friend was with me at the time, and I said, I'm going to get that truck. He said, no, I'm going to get it. And I was like, no, I'm going to get it. Like I said, you tell me I'm not going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I got it, and he passed away 4 years ago.
I'm sorry.
And so it's just like that memory of having that with him. And then also the truck, it was a San Diego Park Ranger truck. So on the radiator core support, it says property of San Diego County. And I mean, it was like 18 different colors when I started. Awesome. And, bird shot and like sirens and weird stuff all over it. So it just like, I put, blood, sweat, and tears into that thing. And I had to be an adult one day and I sold it, and I'll regret it forever if I don't get it back.
Being an adult sucks.
Please tell me.
All right. So we're putting it out there. It'll be in the pictures, or you can see it in the thumbnail of this episode. If you find this truck or know anything about it, let Ariel know. She wants to get it back.
Yes, ma'am.
I love it. So what do you drive now? Do you mind me asking?
Oh, God.
That good, huh?
No. Well, I was in a motorcycle accident about 1.5 years ago.
That's right.
And I got a 2008 Chrysler Town & Country.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had 200,000 miles on it. My boyfriend bought it so that we could get the wheelchair in the back, And I mean, it's been going strong. So I'm not complaining. And now it fits the dogs and the baby. So I also, in my defense, have a 1950 Chevy in the backyard that I have a full drivetrain for, and a 93 Ram Charger in the driveway that I just need to put a fuel pump in.
Oh, nice. So those are the project cars that you're going to get back to as baby gets a little older.
Yes.
Awesome. Did you consider going back to teaching after?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think you will at some point?
Oh yeah, that's my true passion is definitely teaching, for sure. Yes.
And the reason why you didn't do that now is just because of hours?
It was, well, the school that I was working at was it's about 45 minutes away from where I live, and gotcha. I just didn't want, because my baby would have only been 4 months old at the time, and I didn't want to take him in the car. I don't know. It was probably stupid not to go back, but also I was they hired a new person that was not nice, and I just didn't want to work with him anymore. So
that's fair.
I felt like there was bigger and better things.
That's fair. And you got to trust your gut on that at the end of the day, right? Sure. That's the biggest thing that I wish we could convey to women in the trades, and men too. Heck, like if you're in an environment that is not a good one for you, it's not conducive for you, and for whatever reason, it's okay to leave and go somewhere else.
You got to trust your gut.
Yeah, absolutely. Was it challenging for you to go back to work after the job that you left due to sexual harassment? Like, did you question whether you were going to go back?
Come on, bring it to me. Come here, bring it to me. I got it. I don't know which nipple. Okay, bring it to me. Just wipe it down. It's okay. You got it. I wasn't thinking that it was going to be a sexual harassment thing, but and it really wasn't. But the first co-teacher that I worked with was a pretty big asshole. Sorry if I'm not allowed to say that.
Oh, absolutely.
And he quit. I was not even 6 months into teaching. I was about 3 months into teaching, and he quit. And then I had to run his classes plus my classes, and then they hired a new guy, and then he got fired within a month. And so I had to run the classes again, and then they hired a new guy who was very, very nice for a while. And then what do you need to get it off for?
So I can put milk in it because it all spilled. baby duties.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It is all good. Like I said, you've got a young infant that needs you. So that comes first, of course. I think everybody at home can understand that.
Sorry, guys.
You're all good. You are all good.
Okay, I'm back.
Was the teaching job right after the sexual harassment job?
Yes.
Okay.
So I literally I told him that I was quitting because I found a teaching job, and that's when he got like furious with me. And I'm like,
oh.
This is my dream job. Like, I'm sorry. I've worked here for a year.
Yeah. So he got pissed at you for quitting?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. And you never told him about the sexual harassment? Or was he the sexual harasser?
He was a sexual harasser.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So it was your boss?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Isn't it?
Do you think that was why you decided to go into teaching versus going to find another shop, or was it more just it was time to teach?
Teaching is my dream job, and I got the dream opportunity, and it was just was time.
Okay. Awesome. Very cool. So you left teaching when you had the baby, and now you're finally entering back into the workforce.
World.
What's that?
Shop world.
Shop world, yes. Did you find it challenging finding a shop that would hire you back and that would be flexible with you?
Kind of, yeah. I applied at a lot of places and kind of just got looked at and kind of like scoffed away, because half of the time I had to bring him in the car seat into the shop to fill out the application or whatever, or go on the interview, or my first interview was at a Chevy dealership, and I had a friend that worked there, and I was like, well, I mean, I don't have daycare yet. I need to find a job before I procure daycare. So do you mind if I bring the baby on the interview? And they were like, no, it's not a problem at all. And they called me in, talked to me, told me they would call me back, told me all this stuff. I never heard from them again. And that happened multiple times. And so then it got to the point where I was like, okay, I cannot bring the baby at all, even though like it's going to be really hard to find cohesive daycare, all of the stuff, it's just so any female knows, it's more challenging than it seems. I thought it was going to be a lot easier. It's not.
I can only imagine, and I give you a lot of credit for being able to pull it off and make it happen regardless, because I can only imagine.
I keep going up to my manager kind of and going, why are you being so nice and accommodating to me? But I guess, everybody deserves a chance.
Yeah. So you found him, ultimately you found this shop. How did you find them, and how did that go with the hiring process?
Very weird. Like for the previous 2 days, I probably applied at 18 places.
Oh, wow.
And I went, where did I went somewhere that morning, and I drove past. It's really close to my house where I work now.
Okay.
And I drove past, and I got home, and I was like, let me just call them and see if they're hiring. So I called, and the lady answered the phone, and she sounded really busy. So I got nervous and I hung up. And then I got more nervous because I was like, oh crap, they're busy. They probably need help. So I had my boyfriend call and pretend that he was looking for work. And he gave them my credentials, and
Interesting.
they were like, oh, hell yeah, we're hiring. And so the next day I drove past, and then my mom was here helping me with the baby, and I was in like a gym outfit. So I was like, I forgot I need to go apply there. And so I was like, can I just throw on some professional clothes and go apply? And I filled out the application in the lobby, and I handed it to the manager. He didn't even look at it. He said, do you have time to talk? And I was like, I have 48 minutes. Let's go. And yeah, hired me on the spot. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Has he given you any indication or talked about why he was so open and like ready to and willing to accept a female technician versus shunning you
Well,
like everybody else has, and
there's
especially a
already a
mom?
female technician there.
Okay.
And then 2 female service advisors who are really knowledgeable.
Okay.
And
So he's already been broken in.
yeah, and I think he just was kind of looking for someone that maybe was a little bit like, I think he saw the fact that I was a teacher and like was responsible for like 200 kids, and was like, oh, okay, she can probably handle her stuff.
Right.
So I think that
Right.
helped a lot.
Awesome. That's very cool. How many other folks do you work with?
Technicians, 4.
Oh,
And
and another female technician in that group.
1 female. Yeah.
1 female. That's awesome.
Yeah. And she was so sweet to me. Like she literally was like, hey, I'm going to get you a spare key to my toolbox. So if I'm off or I'm not here, you can borrow anything that you need. And like the head technician, he's like, I don't mind if you go in my toolbox, just put it back. Like everybody has been so sweet there. It's amazing.
That's fantastic. And you just started, right? You're brand
5 days
new
ago. Yeah.
I love it. I love that it's like going so well for you already in such a short amount of time, and that like I know you struggle to get the job or to get a job,
Yeah.
but I'm glad it sounds like you found like a really good place, and it's always so reassuring when I hear about these shops that are good like that,
Yeah.
that really have great cultures, and especially since we hear so often about the negative ones, so it's really nice to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So in your years as a technician, what would you say has been the most challenging part of being a technician?
So I have extreme anxiety, and I don't know if anybody follows astrology, but I'm a Cancer, so I cry all the time. And I have panic attacks. And so if I am doing anything that I am not confident in, I will start crying no matter what and start panicking. And I think that also might be one of the reasons that I got this job, because now I've figured that out about myself. And I told them, I said, hey, I will get it done, but I might cry. And I probably
I love that. I love that you were just straight up about that. That is awesome.
Like I panic so bad because I don't want to mess it up. So that's been the hardest thing. And then that's literally just getting over the anxiety of trying to do something right when you don't know exactly what you're doing, which half of the time no one does.
Right. Which is, I was gonna say, like in automotive, that's all the time because they're constantly changing technology. It's constantly a new problem. So what have been your tricks that you've learned to kind of get yourself through those panic moments of, I've never seen this, I don't know how to do this, how am I going to do this, to keep going?
Nothing. Just cry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously something, because you've kept going, right? You haven't let it stop you.
Well, I talk myself down, like, hey, I think the mantra for me is, it went together, it can come apart. And that's what kind of drove me to cars, is like, somehow it got put together, somehow it can get taken apart and go back together.
Yep.
And then, obviously there's a lot of online resources, All Data, Mitchell on Demand, but then always the go to YouTube where you find the easy way to do things.
Not always correct.
Not always correct. Not always the torque spec correct, but a little trick,
Right.
and then just having good coworkers. Because also, not only did the old boss that sexually harassed me do that, he told everybody in the shop not to help me. And I suspected it because everybody stopped helping me one day. And then my old coworker drove by and I told him, I was like, hey, I got a job. And he was like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they would tell me not to help you at all. And I was like, why would you do that to your own company?
Right.
Like, why would you want me to mess up?
I will never understand that. That's I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. That is super frustrating.
I told myself that I was gonna shout out my favorite person. This is actually my whole inspiration.
Is that MacGyver? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes,
Okay,
it's MacGyver.
just making sure for folks that are not seeing this but are listening to this. She's got a MacGyver cup, candle,
Yes,
cup.
cup. Yes, I had this specially made.
Oh my gosh,
he was my initial inspiration because he uses his brain, and I thought that was the coolest thing. So, just to go back to that, sorry.
I love it. Well, no, I mean that makes sense because that fits with the everything went together by somebody or something.
And it can always be fixed. And that was MacGyver's mantra.
Absolutely. Everything is figure outable. Absolutely.
Yep. Figure outable.
I love
it.
That's my favorite phrase. Everything is figure outable. But okay, so that's just, you kind of kept that in mind keep that in mind when you're having those panic moments of okay, I
MacGyver
can do this.
What would MacGyver do?
I love it. That's awesome. All right. And is machining still your favorite thing to do, like machine work and that kind of stuff? Or do you have a new favorite?
No. I would like to say, I feel like where I messed up in my career path was I didn't follow my passion soon enough. I want to build custom cars. I want to build old cars. I want to do that, but I never dove into that. I was just like, oh my God, I get an opportunity to work on cars. Let me take it. And then it kind of drove me not in a total different direction, but a slightly different direction. And so I don't have the confidence to go. I probably would honestly have the confidence to go to a machine shop and do it because it's my brain is a number brain. And that it's all numbers, but as far as
I'm envious of that.
What?
So I'm envious of that. I am not.
Oh, really?
You've got a different kind of brain than me.
No, if you tell me a number, I won't forget it. It's terrible, actually.
Oh wow!
I still remember my best friend's phone number from kindergarten.
That's a superpower. Are you kidding? That is a superpower when you're in the right job.
Call her. No, it's just it's weird.
I think that's awesome. I'm going to put this out in the universe. I'm going to hope that this place that you're at right now that is helping build your confidence up and being constantly impressed with what you know, and you will gain that confidence and you will find your way to doing the thing it is that you truly love.
I want to come help you build a car for SEMA.
Please do. Please do. Yeah, stay tuned because we do have an announcement coming very soon on a build that is going to be announced. So yes, stay tuned. I would love to have you come out. That would be so much fun. But I'm going to put it out there. You're going to find your way to your passion of custom cars and being in a machine shop. You're going to find the confidence to do it. I think it's coming soon. And at the end of the day, like, please don't regret decisions that you've made. Like, I get it, but also know that every decision that you've made is going to lead you to the perfect place.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yep. Yep. It's all preparing you for that dream job at some point in the very near future. And MacGyver would be proud.
Richard Dean Anderson, if you're listening, hi.
Big fan here. Big fan. Miller says MacGyver is a spirit animal. I love it. That's
absolutely is.
I love it. Oh my goodness. This has been so much fun, Ariel. We are almost out of our hour. It goes so fast, doesn't it? This was your first podcast. How has it been?
Life-threatening. No, I'm just kidding. It's been fun.
It wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Not at all. It's been very. You're an amazing host.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it. You've been a fantastic guest. This has been so much fun. I have one final question for you. The question that I always like to end this show on is, if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to little baby Ariel, the younger version of you, what are your words of advice to her?
Put that VCR back together.
I feel like there's more of a story there than that.
Because I used to take them apart all the time, and I think part of my lack of confidence was I was too afraid to put it back together. You know.
Interesting. But so even when you were a little kid,
I'd have to ask my mom if I ever got them back together properly. But I think when I got a little older, I did. But yeah, put that VCR back together. Finish what you started.
That might be the best advice that I've heard as an answer to this question. That's amazing. Put the VCR back together. I feel like that's going to be the title of your book that you write one day. That's going to be the title. Put your VCR back together.
And then it's going to be in so much the future that people are going to be like, what's a VCR?
I know, right? The foreword to the book is going to have to explain what a VCR is to people who don't know. I love it. Oh my goodness. This has been so much fun, Ariel. You are fantastic. I see an incredibly awesome future in front of you. I think you're just getting started. And I'm so glad that you found a great shop that is supporting you and encouraging you and is flexible with you and baby. I'm so excited for your new journey as a mom.
Me too.
Very excited for you. It's been so fun to meet you. So thank you so much for saying yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And folks at home, thank you guys so much for spending part of your evening with us. I hope you enjoyed meeting her as much as I did and hearing all about her story. I will have how you can find her and follow her in the description down below. So make sure you show her some love and support. And thank you just for being a part of this series, for being part of normalizing women in the trades. You know, Ariel brought up, and I think it's absolutely the truth, that one day it won't be an issue, right? That's the hope. That's the goal. You guys are a part of making that happen. You are part of normalizing women in the trades. All of your comments, all of your interaction, watching the show, sharing it, liking it, all of that is amazing stuff and is a huge support to this series to help make sure that more people see it, that more people meet these incredible women and start thinking that it is totally just normal that women can and do excel in these trades. So thank you guys. If you like the series, again, make sure you comment, hit like, share this with your friends. Make sure you come back next week. We have another awesome woman to meet. And we also have an archive episode every Monday. So 2 opportunities to watch with her 2 hands every week. This was episode 179. So, oh my goodness, we've met with and sat down with 179 incredible women throughout the last 4 years. And the list is just growing. So there's always a constant source of inspiration. If you're looking for a little pick me up or just want to hear somebody's cool story of how they got their start or learn about a different trade, there's a whole database of incredible women for you to go back and listen to. So until next time, guys, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and we'll see you later.